Okay, check it out here. Let me just check if it works great there. I'm a little sluggish. Something weird is happening, but we'll try to do the show like this. Even though I don't like what I see, I don't get it why it does that this time and doesn't do it at other times. It's so weird. So weird. Anyways, we'll try to have a show like this. Hey everybody. Nice to have all of you here. My friends. Let me just, well, this is so weird. Okay. I'm just hoping that the video is good. I don't get it. My CPU load is at 100% and it doesn't do that usually. It's very, very, very weird. I've restarted. Just look at the task manager. Sorry guys, just a few seconds here. I'm really, really wondering what's taking so much. Unless the PC is doing something that that's not supposed to. Let me just check it out. Task manager. According to my task manager, Chrome is taking 20%. Wirecast is taking 50%. But I got 100% CPU load here, which doesn't total 100%. There's something that I ain't aware of that's taking power here. I want to view the unviewable. I don't know why it takes so much. Let me just take this. The antivirus isn't scanning. Okay, I don't know. Hope it works. I might be a little sluggish on the video, but I don't know. I'm at 100% here, and I don't like it. But we'll try to check it for that, and hope that it's going to work well. So hey, everybody, welcome aboard. Nice to have you here. Let me just take this, drop it down, and hope that everything will be all right. Maybe when I move fast, you would see that there's some sluggishness, though, because at 100% load, I'm pretty sure that it's probably going to show up in the video stream itself. So hopefully it's going to be okay. Welcome. This is Friday. It's 2000 hours Universal Time, and it's that time of the week where, yeah, for a lot of you, it's thank God it's Friday, and for a lot of you, it's yay, we have the Shortwave show. My name is Gilles. I'm live from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And hope that you'll enjoy today's stream. We are going to talk about radio. Of course, this is a show about radio, shortwave radio, anything from 0 to 30 megahertz. We sometimes go to a few little exceptions, but most of the time, 0 to 30 megahertz. And I hope that you guys will have fun with us. So I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And we've got the SDR play here. We've got the Yisuf FT450 right here. Nice gift. For sure from Jack in 9 IIF. Thank you so much. And of course the SDR play here. RSP1A. A nice gift from Simon Templar. Thank you very much. This is like Christmas in November for me. So it's pretty cool. MDK2, Matt, nice to have you on board listening to the Voice of Greece on 9420. Hello there, nice to have you here. Arthur's Allocrafter's Kitchen, nice to have you here. Nice to have you on board. PLF Radio, bonjour, bienvenue de la France. Toujours un plaisir. Nice to have you on board. Cheers, I need my beer. Dexbar74, nice to have you here from Germany. Jerry DX, nice to have you on board. Max Edstrong, nice to have you here. Pretty cool to have you on board. Matambali, nice to have you here from Colorado. Yeah, there was a Alaska earthquake, a pretty big one, close to 7 magnitude, and now there's a tsunami warning. This could make some interesting listening if anybody's in that vicinity. There could be, there's Matambali says he's on 5167.5, which is apparently the Alaska emergency frequency. And I'm sure maybe some amateur radio operators may be on the air or something. So if anybody has frequencies or anything that sounds interesting or important, let's share that here. We're here for that. Ray Kelly, nice to have you on board, my friend, from Nova Scotia, Canada. David Snyder, nice to have you on board, my friend. Mike Anna 261 Canyon Hopper, nice to have you on board. And it's pretty cool to have you here. Meteor, nice to have you here. Yo, yo, yo. Pretty cool to have everybody on board. It's always fun to have the familiar names and new names also. Matthew Belli says, just curious, does the task manager show up process using most of the CPU? No, actually, it's probably a hidden process, because the process that I see in the task manager is showing that Wirecast is taking 50% load, which is the typical Wirecast load usually, and Chrome taking about 15%, which makes 65. The rest is close to 0, and I have the CPU load at 100. Let me just check it out here. Right now it's at 90. So I don't know. It's weird. As long as it works, anyways, it's all I want. It's all I want, for sure. So what else do we have? What else do we have? DeVaults, nice to have you here from Latvia. What else do we have? What else? Let me just go down the chat room. Sakura DX, nice to have you on board, my friend, from Japan. Pretty good. He's back from the sea. Nice. Bobby Burgess, nice to have you on board. Says looking good on the Chromecast. Pretty good. That's cool. What else do we have? Rock Ristorante, nice to have you on board. Risto from Stockholm, Sweden. SM0SBT. What else do we have? Yeah, maybe that's what I would need to do, and boosting the encoding process priority. Absolutely. That would, because I don't see anything else that's taking CPU load. I'll try that. What else do we have here? Archer's Alley Crafter's Kitchen is in the office. Nice to have you here, as always. Andrew Ross, nice to have you on board. Says good evening from the English Riviera. Quick question, if I may. My old Sony shortwave radio is on its last legs, and I'm wondering if you can recommend a cheap and cheerful new model. It depends how much you want to spend, but I would say that if you get yourself a Texan, like a Texan PL660, that will replace that Sony shortwave pretty well, honestly. But a Texan PL880, I don't know if there's still some available, but there might be some. I think on Amazon I saw that there was a few left. The Sony ICF 7600JR would be a good replacement, and you'd replace a Sony with a Sony that is pretty good. So you know, a few things interesting. Hey, Richard Cook. Nice to have you on board, my friend. And pretty cool to see you here from the UK. Meteor, the SDR that I have here is a SDR Play RSP1A. And it is amazing. I have to say it is amazing. Just really, really love it. And pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. If you got one to buy and you don't have too much money to spend, I gotta say I'm impressed by the performance of the RSP1A. Truly amazing, for sure. David Snyder, want to know how you like your SDR Play and which model is it? Yeah, so it's the SDR1A and from SDR Play, and it is great, David. I mean, if I compare this to my ephedry that I've been using a lot in the past months, you guys have seen my ephedry work a lot. This is better. It's better because it has lower noise. It's actually has lower noise, and I've actually started to love SDR Uno as a software to run it also, which the ephedry cannot run on SDR Uno. But apart from the software, because the software is a very personal thing, the RSP1A is truly amazing. Very low noise and very good performance. I recommend it. Really recommend it to everybody that is looking for an SDR. Jack N9IIF, nice to have you on board. And as you can see, the beautiful Yaesu FT450 is right here next to me, plugged in with a 5 amp power supply just for the reception. And of course, I don't have my AM license, so I can't use the transceiver side of it. But it's really a nice rig. I want to thank you so much, Jack. Really appreciate it. And W5KJL, yeah, you know what? I was thinking about you. Because as I was setting up, I saw the pirate flag there, and I said, "No, man, I didn't put it up yet." So I'll put it up for tomorrow. I promise. That's my promise to you. I'll put it up for tomorrow. And by the way, Jack and 99IF that sent me this beautiful Yaesu, I just want to mention that I have pledged and promised that because I have a transceiver now, I will pass my ham license in 2019. So this is my promise in exchange for getting this really beautiful transceiver over here. Thanks once again. I was so surprised when I actually opened the box and saw what was inside. I was not expecting that at all. Richard says, Spain on 9690 coming in the UK. Let's try it out. First of all, I'm listening to African Pathways from Madagascar 11965. Right here. Let's try 9690. Yeah, Spain pretty good. 9690. So that's pretty good. Pretty good. Man Radio DXer, nice to have you on board, my friend. JD Williamson, bonjour, welcome aboard. Always nice to have you here. So, what else do we have? Roger De Soto, KC0QJQ. I have a Yaesu F250D, nice radio. Absolutely. Absolutely. Jerry DX, back in 2 minutes. What else do we have? W5KJL says, starting a GoFundMe to hang the flag. Oh man, GoFundMe and I'll hang the flag. Andrew Ross says, I don't do a lot of DXing these days due to interference, but would like a small radio to play about with when I'm in Dartmoor and middle of nowhere. You know, a Texan PL660 would do a great job, honestly. And they're not very expensive. They're below 100. and I think you would have a lot of fun with that. It's a very nice portable, and you'll have single sideband and everything. It's really, really nice. Frédéric F4ECA, bonjour de la France, bienvenue Frédéric. Toujours un plaisir. Nice to have you here. Voice of Korea French on 7570, says Richard Cook. Archer's Autocrafter's Kitchen. Can't wait to go home from work and continue restoration on his at Water Kent 627. Electronics are done. Now restoring the wooden cabinet. That is cool. That is always cool. RT Gideon, nice to have you here, Randy, in Riverside, California. Nice to have you on board as usual, my friend. Absolutely. What else do we have? Yeah, that's another possibility. Mad Radio DXer has a suggestion that is very popular also. The XH Data D808, absolutely cheap, portable, but apparently a very good performing one. The only problem here is that I have not been able to get that thing below about $170 Canadian, which I find a little too expensive to spend. So anyways, we'll see. We'll see. Hey Sheldon, nice to have you here from Greenfield Park, Quebec. Nice to have you on board. So, you know what, Vaults? I am wondering if it's not just the PC's performance for the drop off, because I noticed that when it's on my Core i5 laptop, it doesn't have the drop off. But I've noticed that here, if on that machine or the Core 2, it drops off, and I think it's because of the way that it handles the signal, because it drops off here where it doesn't on my other machines that are more powerful. And if I up the spectrum, so right now I got 2 megahertz. If I up to 5 megahertz, it drops off like in the middle, and at the end there's nothing. So it's really, I think, the way that it's processing all of the information. It has kind of the PC is giving it a limit, because that drop off isn't there when I am on my Core i5. My Core i5 shows a very stable from one side to the other. On my Core i5, if I put it at 10 megahertz range, it has a full, very smooth range of 10 megahertz without any drop-offs at the end. So it's all in, I think, the power that the PC is having to like process all the information. It can't handle all of it. And that made me also understand another thing, because my Alphedry had the same problem, but it had the drop-off always at one end, which was on the right end. And now it makes me understand that it's because I thought maybe the Alphedry had some kind of difficulty handling all the spectrum, and it would kind of drop off at some point. But now when I see this, I understand that I think it's much more of the way that the computer just doesn't have enough, it's missing just a little bit of power to process everything. And that's what it looks like. Because, like I said, the drop-off you see there isn't on a more powerful PC. So maybe I'll have to take that desktop and maybe put something a little more powerful to handle all of that at some point. But it does seem to be really the way the process is done on the PC side. PLF Radio, are you about to do a review of SDR Play and SDR Uno? Yeah, still another week. Give me at least another week, because these are complex little devices, and I need to play more with it so that I can actually give a fair review. I will have a review of the SDR Play before SDR Uno, probably, because I kind of pretty much see its performance and where it's good and bad, and well, actually, it isn't bad really that much anywhere, but it's a very, very nice device, and I will have 2 separate reviews of it. One for the shortwave channel, where I'll talk about the long wave, medium wave, shortwaves aspect of the SDR plate, the RSP1A. And one for the VHF aspect that will be on the VHF UHF channel, where I'll talk about what my findings of the VHF UHF range. I'm also waiting for a little box to plug in and to switch between my VHF UHF antenna in my sloper for shortwave, because it does have a difference in performance, of course, because this is a wideband radio. It goes up to 2 gigahertz. Sloper antenna ain't meant to run a VHF UHF range. Dwight Hitchens, nice to have you here from Jamaica, Virginia. Nice to have you here. KWell66, nice to have you here. My Windows show is a thing of the past. It's too much work for whatever it's giving back in the process, and so and when you do too many shows, at some point it takes a toll, because it's a lot of time. You're taking a lot of hours doing shows and live shows, and I got fed up a little bit. I'm not saying that I'm never going to come back, but for now it's out of the question. Nuridun Mazari. Bonsoir d'Algérie, bonsoir du Canada. Toujours un plaisir. Always nice to have you here, my friend. William Moser, nice to have you here. Cyberflyer1, nice to have you on board. Andy RC, nice to have you here. We're in Cornwall, England. And congratulations on the FT450. No excuses for getting your... Yeah, I know. No excuses now. I need to get my ham license, for sure. For sure. Mika Delmage, nice to have you here from Sunny. And let me just go back down. For some reason the chat jumped. It jumped. So, nice and warm, +5 Celsius, Sherwood Park, Alberta. Here it's 1 degree, so it's like 34 Fahrenheit or something. So +1 Celsius. KC1HOX, nice to have you here, Glenn. Arters, other crafters, when you get your ham license, are you going to start a ham channel on YouTube? I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it. If I'm going to just integrate the ham stuff on the shortwave channel but I did start thinking about it, because of course one of the things I was thinking is, well, yeah, maybe a ham channel would be a nice thing to add, and with the weight of my other channels, it wouldn't take very long to get up to 1,000 subs, and to have the minimum requirement for monetization. But one thing for sure, at least one thing that I am sure of, is as I am in the process of getting my AM license, I will add a live amateur radio dedicated live show. Now, once again, because some people said, well, if you're going to do that, you're going to, no, I'm not going to leave. I'm not going to leave the, the shortwave stuff. I'll always be here, and this is always going to be part of all of it. But I will probably add a amateur radio side live show where it's going to be dedicated to amateur radio, and I mean every aspect of it, in every frequency range of it, basically. Cape Cod Shortwave, nice to have you here from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. And I've been to Cape Cod a long time ago. About 15. Well, Cape Cod. I've been to Cape Cod in 2000 and even more than that. I went to Cape Cod in 1999. 1999. Last time, and I went up and down the East Coast a long time ago, almost 20 years ago. Incredible. Seems like yesterday. Almost 20 years ago. Michael Ketchell, nice to have you here. Says, was going to purchase the FT450. Instead, I got the ICOM ICE 7300. Cool. Greetings from the UK. Nice to have you here from the UK. Pretty cool. Sean Fay, nice to have you here. Bill Mead, nice to have you on board from Pennsylvania. Pretty cool. Richard Cook had Pyongyang this morning on 96.65. I've heard weak signals coming out of North Korea, but I haven't had really good reception in North Korea, honestly. James Smith, nice to have you here. I'm wanting to move up in a shortwave radio. Currently I have a Texan R 9600DX. What do you recommend in the range 200, 300? Thanks, Jim from Georgia. In the 2 to 300 range, two things you can check out. You can check something like a Texan PL 880, which is getting at a high close to the $200 range, 150 to 200. If you are computer fluent and want to have a permanent setup, or not even, I mean, you can use these as a portable means if you have an Android tablet or phone, but maybe an SDR could be interesting, like the RSP. I got the RSP-1A, but the RSP-2 Pro, a little more expensive and a little more power, could be something interesting, but you need to use a computer to have that working. That's the bad side of it. I don't know exactly where you are at with that, if that would be interesting for you. But I would also look into used tabletops at the 2 to 300 range. You might have a nice tabletop, used tabletop that performs really well, and that would be a great set with a lot more possibilities. I mean, a tabletop often has these tuning tools that help you have a little more off of the radio side of things. So you know, these are a few suggestions I would give. I don't know if you guys would have another suggestion or other suggestions for James Smith here. And do you want to have portable capability, or do you want to have? Would you like something that would be a permanent setup, like a tabletop? You know, things like that. Paul Drake, nice to have you here. And yeah, Sheldon, that's what I was saying at the early in the show. Or a 7.0 earthquake in Alaska, and there's a tsunami warning right now. David Snyder says, I'm very interested in buying the SDR Play 1A, but need to know what to buy. Do my antenna can connect to it? It can connect. Yeah, your antennas can connect to it. The only thing the RSP-1A you will have to know about it is that it has one. It's an SMA connector, so I'll have to have some adapter to it because right now you probably don't have any SMA connectors for the antenna connector. There's one negative thing that I would say about the RSP-1A, and it's the fact that they actually used only one antenna connector for the whole range, meaning you need to use an external switch box if you want to have both the VHF, UHF capability and long wave, medium wave, shortwave capabilities. That would be, if I had a negative thing to say, it would have been nice to have two separate antenna connectors on the device, one for VHF. And one of the reasons, somebody says, well, it would up the price a little bit. Yeah, but still, when you look at the cheap, like, just look at the South 66, which is a very cheap SDR, $40. It does have two connectors, so you can actually, it wouldn't have been that, amazing to just add another connector. But still, I'm complaining about something that's very minor. And in reality, you just switch antennas and it's okay. So, it's a minor thing. It's just something you need to know, but it's a minor thing. Sakura DX says KBS on 972 kilohertz with huge power. Yeah, in Japan, you must hear all these medium wave stations from Asia. So, Dio, nice to have you on board, my friend. David Arden, nice to have you here. KG4CMY. And says, got to give thumbs up before and after the reboot. How about that? Yeah, I'm going to have to remove that other, like, 2 minutes. They're going to be like 2 minutes. Hunter's Autocrafter Kitchen. Yeah, nice to have everybody. Vaults. Is 2 meter band reasonably active in your area? There is some activity. It's not as active as it used to be in the 90s or the 80s. When I was in the part of the scanner craze of the early 90s, there was a lot more activity in the 2 meter band than there is today. But there is some reasonable activity on the 2 meter band in my area. Yeah, you know, there's some stuff to listen to. Yeah, I would say the quietest moments are weekdays, you know, in the afternoon, for example, or morning, afternoon. But in the evening or in the weekends, there's pretty much always something to listen to on the 2 meter band. But it's definitely not as active as it used to be, you know, like 20 years ago. Raymond Challoner, nice to have you here from the UK, picking up 9600 kilohertz S9. 9600. What's on 9600? Let me just check out here if I hear anything on 9600. Nothing much. A very weak signal. There's something very weak, but I don't know what it is on 9600. Got to be careful not to have some sounds. But like I said, Matt, I have the impression it's more of a PC thing, because I don't see that when I use a more powerful computer. So I'm wondering if it has to do with all the processing makes it do that when your PC is on the edge. What else do we have? Richard Cook says, do big ships cause tones on shortwave, as I have tones which overload my S2000 and my SDR? What kind of tones? Because you shouldn't have any... I'd like to hear what they are, actually. What are the tones? Ships shouldn't cause that type of problems. I don't think so. I'm wondering there, Richard. SWL60N, nice to have you here from Stockholm, rainy and 3 Celsius, 38 Fahrenheit. The sun is set for the rest of 2018 in the northern tip of Sweden. Wow, darkness. Here the sun is pretty much at its, you know, we still have 3 weeks till the winter solstice, but sun is setting very early here, 4 p.m. pretty much. Matambali says, last night snagged a 2,200 meter amateur radio station transmitting CW on 473 kilohertz. Quiet band last night, usually too noisy. Oh, wow. That's interesting. On 473 kilohertz, I've never heard AMs there. I've got way too much noise and it's like nothing. Really nothing. David Arden has a nice 20 Celsius in Atlanta. Wow. That's kind of nice. That would be a nice warm day to be outside. I'd be doing the live show from outside for sure. Oh man. This is going to be interesting. What else do we have? Sakura DX this morning. Guinea on 9650. Huh. There was some feedback, but there's nothing different in my microphone because it is, let me just check it out here. It might be just a glitch because of the high CPU load. I don't know if it's back to normal. But this is my usual same laptop microphone that I don't touch and do nothing with. So it's not like when I'm using my wireless mic. So I don't know if things came back. I'm thinking it has to do with the high CPU load. Some kind of artifacts happening. Um, what else do we have? David Arnott says, this has always been a program for both shortwave and hams. Hams are, here are shortwave listeners. This channel is big enough for both. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That would, that is, you know, right now I'm thinking of adding a new show, but I've not really thought of adding or constructing a new YouTube channel. Considering, you know, I would have thought about it if there would have been a the same rules as before on building new YouTube channels, and you could get them monetized right away. But with the new rules of getting a minimum of 1,000 subs and 4,000 hours of views, and then you got to get approved, it kind of puts a damp on like wanting to do new channels, honestly. So you know, I would probably tend to put the show here instead. Elton Byington, nice to have you on board. K3JWA. Gordon Treadwell, nice to have you on board. Says, Joe, if you have your ham license, I will be looking for you on the bands. Oh, I'll be happy to have a chat with all of you guys that are hams. VE6 GPT is the ham call sign of Gordon. Pretty cool. Paul Drake says, was in Cape Cod and that here visiting my friend in England. He was in Providence College. What else do we have? Paul Drake says, Texan PL380 is an excellent little radio. Yeah, for a radio that's inexpensive, the PL380 is an amazing radio for the price. I mean, if you want to have something that's inexpensive, that does an amazing amazing thing. I gotta say, it's great. It's just great. Very sensitive and amazing little thing for the price. W5KJL says, looking forward to your ham show. My goal is to get my extra in 2019. Currently general class. Shortwave was what got me into the hobby. Ham is a whole another world. Still learning each day. Yeah, and you know, there are two worlds where hams, a lot of hams, not all of them, but a lot of hams come from, and there's the world of shortwave, where a lot of shortwave listeners actually became, really become the ham radio operators. So a lot of shortwave listeners went through their AM ticket at some point. But there's also the category of CBers. A lot of CBers from the old times also became hams over time. So there's kind of these two categories. And of course there's the random ham that just became a ham because somebody was a ham somewhere, you know. David Snyder says, would recommend an ICOM R75, but on eBay will cost close to $400 to $500. Can connect to internet and be computer controlled. So Garden says the tsunami warning was now canceled. So that's good news. No tsunami warning. William Conlon, nice to have you here from South Ireland. Nice to have you on board. Pretty cool. Yeah, your whatever connector you're using right now, your coax to an SMA connector, David Snyder. Absolutely. So as for the David Arden question, David Arden, yeah. I'm just trying to. I think I moved a little too fast here. The Lone Wolf Ottawa, nice to have you here. VA3BNS. Nice to have you on board, my friend, from Ottawa. Pretty cool. So Arthur's Autocrat Your Kitchen. Any SDR compatible with tablet like a Google Nexus 7? The Soft 66, the RTL SDR. No, not the Soft 66. Let's restart. Let's refresh. The RTL SDR, first of all, he is compatible with a Android device like the an Android phone or an Android tablet. Most of them, at least if you're running The important thing is to be running Android 6 or up on them. And the RSP1A is compatible with also with any Android device. I've installed the driver and I've installed the SDR Touch software. The RSP1A is actually compatible with Android. I've installed everything. I have yet to have it working on my tablet. But if you don't want to, because the problem is if you're before Android 7, you have to root your device in order to have it working. With Android 7 or later, you can actually have the SDR work without having to root your Android device. But the basic RTL SDR does, the RSP1A does, and I wouldn't be surprised there may be others, but for now this is pretty much what I know. SWL60N says, in comparison, my Sony ICF 7600 JR and the Texan PL365 or Conicom GP5 SSB are quite equal. Huh, interesting. Interesting tests. Okay, let's go down. David Arden says, I heard there were 2 earthquakes in Alaska, one 5.7 and one 7. Tsunami alert was canceled. Apparently Anchorage radio and TV stations are off the air. So yeah, that's possible. For emergency communications of some sort, if anybody hears anything. DREF, nice to have you on board, my friend, from Kingston, New York. Cold here, but occasional flurries and snow showers. It's been very, very cold here in the past couple of weeks. Pretty cold November we've had. MDK2 says, been waiting for SDR Play to come out with an RSP2A, but I'm not sure if such a thing is in the works. That RSP Duo might have been what they were working on instead. Yeah, it's possible. Totally possible. Yeah, it's 630 meters, Matan Bali, you're right. The 2200 meters is 100 and it's that 100 and some kilohertz, 180 kilohertz, something like that. I didn't even realize it while I was saying it, so you know. Nissan Greenwich, nice to have you on board from Dublin. Pretty cool. New radio under the clock. Yes, Nissan. This is thanks to a nice gift from Jack N9IIF, a Yaesu FT450 transceiver, and it's I've been playing with. It's a very, very amazing device. It's a very complex radio. I have the manual in my tablet, and I've been reading the manual for that. I've been doing a lot of reading this week. Reading the manual for that, reading the manual for SDR Uno, and so on. And by the way, you guys that are subscribed to the Spectrum Monitor, you should have your Spectrum Monitor in your email today. I saw the email a little earlier. I didn't download the magazine yet. And don't forget, guys, if you are subscribed to the Spectrum Monitor, you will have to pay your subscription fees if you don't want to miss out on the January issue for 2019 at the same time. So this is going to push me towards my ham ticket, pretty much. I mean, now that I have a transceiver, I have to do it. Richard Cook says 9600-ish CRI in English. Paul Drake, I have a Grundig Melody Boy 1000 and still an amazing sensitive shortwave radio built, I think, in '76. A lot of these old radios are absolutely amazing, honestly. Lawnmower Man. Anyone still doing shortwave on crystal sets? I don't know. Any crystal set shortwaver here? K6YYL, nice to have you here, Kimberly, in California. 3 inches of rain in less than 24 hours. For you guys, it's probably not bad at all because, I mean, there's a lot of rain, but at least, you know, going to help for the fires, that's for sure. Matambali says you certainly can, but really need strong signal. Yeah, crystal sets aren't very sensitive, so you won't DX on a crystal set, that's for sure. Frederick, F4ECA says shortwave radiogram on 7780. Let's check it out if I hear it here. Yeah, it's very weak. 7780 has not been good for me here, but I hear the digital noise from the radiogram for sure. What else do we have? Simon Templar, nice to have you here, my friend. And it's cool to have you on board from Portland, Oregon. Thank you so much once again for this magnificent RSP1 that is working right here with SDR Uno. Great stuff to tune around and play with for sure. What else do we have? Luis Arevalo, nice to have you here. Wondering, I hear the other night the shortwave station was on the ham bands on 80 meter band. Is that illegal? There are some European shortwave stations on the upper part of 80 meters. 3900 to 4000 kilohertz in Europe is actually a broadcast band. So you might have been hearing stations from Europe. I don't know if there's just Europe or there's other countries using it. But you will hear it probably was above 3800, 3900 kilohertz. Sorry. So that's what I would guess. Mark Fisher, nice to have you here. Dave Todd, nice to have you on board. Says I believe the tropical shortwave band overlaps the 80 meter band. No, it's European. The tropical band is a 60 meter band. In that band, there's the 60 meter band, and below the 80 meter band, there's the tropical band. There's also the 90 meter band, I believe, is kind of a tropical band. But at least the 60 meter band is 47-ish, 4700-ish to 5100-ish, somewhere like that. 4700, 4700 to 5100, plus or minus. There are some stations out of band. But that's the tropical band. There is a 90 meter band, which is something like 3200 to 3400 kilohertz or something like that, where you'll hear some stations. But there is a European band for stations on the upper part of. On the 40 meter band also. The 40 meter band, there are some stations. Technically, stations on the 40 meter band, Luis Arevalo, need to be 7200 kilohertz and up. So anything between 7200 and 7300 is legal. And it's for stations that are in other zones than North America. So you will hear some stations there. I hear China Radio in 7285 quite strong usually. Let me just, I think it's on right now. You got China Radio in 7285. That's in the middle of the 40 meter band here in North America.
Enables him to find happiness in his lowly hut. Human happiness is a frail thing.
So this is China Radio International, 7285. This is from Albania transmitter site, and it's legal. It's okay as long as you're not transmitting in that part of the band. I think it's like in the Americas. You're not allowed to be there. There are some stations that don't totally follow rules. You know, I know. If you look at the EIBI space schedules, you'll notice that there are some stations that are even in the bottom part of the 40 meter band, which technically I believe is not very. It's not technically legal according to the rules, but you know, like I say, you won't go and get a station from another country and say, hey, you're not transmitting at good places. You know, that's not going to happen. William Conlon, nice to have you here. says loves is Degen 1103. It's a nice radio. And what else do we have? Yeah, I'll check about that at some point, Bobby. The RSP1A on a Linux machine. Right now, I have no Linux machine. All my machines have been, the only machine that I have Linux on is actually a 17-inch laptop that I have here. But the problem is I'm installing operating systems all the time on that thing. So it's a Linux machine for like 2 weeks. Then it comes back to a Windows machine for a month. Then it goes back to another distro of Linux for a couple of weeks and so on. So, what else do we have? Paul Drake says, can I ask you if you prefer the vintage radios or modern ones? And what is your favorite vintage radio and best modern one, please? I'm interested to know. I like both. Honestly, I can't say I prefer a modern radio than an older radio. I would say I love both. I actually have a tendency to like old technology. So, for example, my Grundig satellite transistor 6001, that is a 1969 huge portable that I've done a few videos with, is probably my favorite old radio, honestly, that I have here. It's just crazy. It's amazing for the time. I mean, it's built in 1969. It's almost, we're almost at 50 years in that radio. And I would say that I enjoy tuning that as much I would enjoy tuning a modern radio. The only thing that I would say is cool about modern radios, they do tend to have a little bit more sensitivity today, although some of the older ones are really amazing. But they also have new tuning capabilities that make some of the listening more fun on a more modern radio. But honestly, if you would put me out in a forest and you say, hey, all I have for you today is this, old portable of 1975, and you got to play with that for the next 2 days. I'll play with that for the next 2 days and tune around the shortwave bands on it, and I'll be happy. And if you give me something more modern, I'll be happy. I just am a happy radio guy. So everything has its own positive, negative, of course. What I like also about older receivers, they're big. When you look today and you got that little portable in your hand and it's like, wow, this thing is like, credit card size, and you're like, okay, that's a radio. It's cool because, I mean, if you travel, it's marvelous. If you want to bring that with you everywhere, it's great. But there's something fun about a nice big radio that you could tune around with. I mean, it's pretty cool. So that's pretty much the answer I would give, basically. Anyone here reports, John Young, nice to have you here, says anyone here reports on Alaska quake, 20 meters, lots of hams up there, lots of damage. Let's check out the 20 meter band, just out of curiosity. 14,200 here. And let's check out if I can spot any ham stations. Let me just zoom on the band. We're going to zoom on the 20 meter band. Not a lot of stuff on the 20 meter band, I gotta say. There's something here which is probably the this is the FT signal stuff. Anything else? I don't know. Trying to check out here. There's a tone. I see some FT8 there, which is right here. I don't see a lot of hams right now on the 20 meter band, I can tell you that. It seems to be rather quiet right now. So nothing much on 20 meters, at least here on the East Coast, happening right now. I don't know if anybody has some ham contacts or anything happening right now on the bands. Incredible, we're already 55 minutes, getting close to an hour of the show already. Just crazy. Crazy. Yeah, Texan PL600 is a great value. And if you are a little handy on the modifications, you can actually do a little mod that will make the audio better because it's a little harsh. Olivia, TG, nice to have you here, Olivia. Nice to have you on board, as usual. Always welcome. We have CR, nice to have you on board from Brazil. PUY2NN, radio call sign. Matt says RSP Duo does as well, but one of the SMA inputs is for one receiver and the other two are for the other. What else do we have? Voice of Turkey 5980 S9 Plus. Yeah, it's been packing a pretty good signal here on the bands 5980 with some Turkish music right now. Pretty good signal. 5980 for Turkey, absolutely. Absolutely. What else do we have? The Bullfrog 89, nice to have you on board. KD2CXU from Albany, New York. Not sure how long I'll be here. Having dinner with friends tonight, no problem. There are other things to do than just be here, watch my show. Of course. Of course. Bullfrog says, I just put Linux Mint on an old Panasonic Toughbook, trying to get FLDG working on it, trying to figure out the audio porting. That's the trickery stuff of the of Linux, and so you can listen to stations, but no digital decoding yet. Kind of interesting. We'll need to check that out. And you know what? One of the biggest problems with Linux distro on some types of hardware is having the hardware working. You know, audio or video. Sometimes there are incompatible chipsets that mean that the distros don't work, especially when they have proprietary drivers, things that the manufacturer doesn't want anybody else to have. Dave Todd says that WBCQ is good on 7490. Richard Cook's got Vietnam on 7280, with CRI very close on 7285. Max Strong says, I even love cheap pocket transistor radios. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Leon Hutchison, nice to have you on board. Says, hey Joe, love all my portables, young and old. Just got an old 1970 Koyo. What a great old thing. I like these things, for sure. I don't know if propagation is... I haven't looked at the propagation conditions as of today because... let me just do a little thing here, guys. I am going to go and get my tablet that I left charging. And we're going to just check out the conditions. And also I'll have the EIBI schedules handy for anything that I want to do. This is going to be the best thing to do so that I'll have all my schedules. So let me just turn it on. As I put it charging, and we'll check the conditions. I don't know because there's a I know that solar wind. There's some solar wind that's supposed to arrive and give some bad conditions, but I think it was not before tomorrow. I'll check it out here. So anything here on the let's check it out here on the FT450. There's somebody on 14236.5. Something weak on 14265. FT450.
South African station too, quite up and down. Very poor band these days. But there you go. Yeah, Echo, here's John is Everett. Echo Victor, Echo Romeo, Echo Tango, Tango. And located 40 miles west of Yankton, South Dakota here, along the Missouri River.
So there are some hams on 20 meters, but not a lot of them. Okay, let's check out here the conditions on the bands. That will be here. Check the indices, ex.qsl.net. It's 2100, so in a few minutes they'll have their updated one. We're going to wait for a few minutes for that. And we'll go to EIBI space schedules to get the schedules for now. So there are some hams, there's some activity here, but not a lot on 20 meters right now. Maximum usable frequency has been dropping very, very fast. So thanks PLF Radio, SolarFlex 68, K1. We'll see the updated one at 2100, and in 15-20 minutes we'll probably have the new one, which give us a little more idea. What else do we have? Propagation, but you know, here when the sun sets, where I am, the maximum usable frequency has been really dropping fast in the past few days. Really shows that we're in the winter conditions, and that the solar flux is very low because of the minimum. We're really at, you know, solar minimum. It's really showing on the bands. Okay, so here the schedules are here. What else do we have? Brett Wayne, nice to have you here. Zachary Antle, nice to have you on board. Pretty cool. Andrew Pace, nice to have you here. Says, love your videos. Checked out many of the interesting sound ones as well, but I am new and I'm loving the introduction videos. I just bought a PL660 off of Amazon yesterday. You'll have a lot of fun with that. I mean, the PL660 is an amazing radio. You're really, really going to have a lot of fun. So Brett Wayne, yeah, nice radio, the Yaesu FT450, absolutely. Brett is KC2 and XP. TL says nothing much on 20 meters. Is it me or the band is dead? It's very dead. I heard something here on 236.50, but apart from that, I don't hear much, honestly. So 20 meters is not very, very good at the moment. So what else do we have? Ravelda 65, nice to have you on board. Your mileage may vary. Nice to have you here. Nice to have you here. Jason Pongratz, nice to have you on board. Yes, I love my new Yaesu, absolutely also. Empty carrier on 9900. So that's probably Cairo. Probably Cairo. What else do we have? Jason Pongratz says, just grabbed an old Panasonic RF 4900. Oh, these are nice. These are really, really nice. I gotta say. Very, very nice. Archer's Alicrafter says 20 meter band goes quite quiet around now. Traditionally late afternoon, East Coast. Yeah, the 20 meter band's been really, really good in the morning because this thing is now plugged in all the time. I've been when I wake up in the morning and I start my stuff to make some YouTube videos. I've noticed that the in the morning here, which is anywhere from about, you know, the time I'm listening, like 1300 to 1700 UTC. There's been tons and tons of ham stations from Europe making contacts. Really, really nice. It's been very nice in the morning. I've heard many stations, many regular stations this week also. There's one from the UK that's there almost every morning. I've heard another one from Germany that's been there almost every morning with huge signals around the 1400 hours UTC tone. But as the day goes by and we get to early afternoon, it starts dropping off quite fast. So what else do we have? Leon Hutchison, the best thing about this DR is keep moving the windows so it fits perfectly, or is that just me? I play around with the windows. I like the fact that each control window is different, and you can actually, you can take one and just, like, for example, if I want, I can put just the waterfall in Spectrum and have just that in the full screen and just, get whatever window I want to have to tune in, or, it is fun to have the possibility to adjust whatever you want. And this is fun because depending on the size of the screen you're using, you might want to have more or less tools visible at the same time. There are things you might want to have more visible. So it is kind of nice. What else do we have? And Matt says, I both love and hate that about SDR Uno. It's great to set things just the way you like, but I use Alt Tab to navigate between windows, and I always have to hit it 5 times. Yeah, of course, that's the thing. If you want to have all of the windows open, absolutely. There's a I had a hard time at first. When I used it the first time and I saw each module being separate, for some reason I wasn't sure I liked it. I was like, that's kind of weird, because I'm used to these SDR software that are all one package that shows everything. But as I started using it and moving things around, I kind of like it, actually, because it's very customizable in the way that what you have in your screen and what you can see. So I kind of like it, anyways. Richard Cook says GHU 7850 is weak. Dark Noise NL, nice to have you here from the Netherlands. What about 40 meter band? Let's check that out. 40 meters. Let's go to 7200. And let's check out what's in the 20 meter band. The 40 meter band, sorry. So of course, we got some interference like this here. But apart from that, anything else? On the ham side of things, it seems quiet. I see that here, 70, 74, around there, there's some FT8. But apart from that, the only other activity that I seem to see really in the bands seem to be more in the, China radio on 7285 is pretty good.
Actually, when you buy the product, the money doesn't go.
And you've got some other stations, 7235, a very weak station on 7235. (7205). In French, I think 72, is it? I'm wondering if it's if 7205 is Algeria or France. Well, yeah. But it's definitely in French on 7205. So I'm going to check the schedules, but it's wondering if it's maybe Algeria in French. Let me just check that out here. Check out what 7205 in French at 2115. Or is it Radio France? Find on page 7205. And at 21, it's Radio France. I'm hearing Radio France International in French on 7205. It's definitely in French right now. So it's pretty cool. Frédéric, F4ECA has 3955 KBS in French. Strong here, but it's normal. Yeah, it's really a European service, actually. Bullfrog89 says, has anyone heard of W6WBJ? Put a recording up last night. Actually, his call sign. He was jamming a net I was hearing via an SDR in San Francisco. It happens very often that I hear hams. Some hams don't like nets. Some hams are convinced that nets are something that shouldn't happen. And I've seen many times hams on like just do contacts intentionally on a frequency where there's a net because they just don't like it. And I've seen that really, really often. Your mileage might vary, K6AUS. There you go, full name. Nice to have you here. Drive from Shortwave. Nice to have you on board. Yeah, in the wintertime mostly. Because in the summertime I often get almost 24 hours on the 20-meter band now. For sure. Sakura DX says, Brett Wayne says nothing on 3955 in Salamanca, New York. Sakura DX says, had a TR4400 from Sony. I take it out for fishing and cycling when I was a teenager. Yeah, 100. We're past the 120 mark in the live shows. What else do we have? Arthur's Other Crafter's Kitchen says, this week I've been enjoying the Kenwood R2000 with an external Yaesu speaker. As good as the audio is on this set, amazing with an outboard speaker, almost medium fidelity. Yeah, and a lot of the radios, like the Yaesu here, because of their compact design, they put the speaker on top, and that is always a bad move because it always gives kind of crappy audio. That's why I always had that realistic speaker, because even the ICOM has a speaker on top, my Kenwood has a speaker on top. They all do that, and in reality we would like to have a speaker in front. Problem is, it would make a bigger cabinet and make it more expensive. But using an outboard speaker is almost always the best thing to do on most of these radios. Your mileage might vary. K6AUS has been enjoying his PL880. It's an amazing radio. PL880 is amazing, for sure. PLF Radio says, earlier this week, I heard for the first time HM01. Wow. Weak but audible. Have in mind I'm in a big city, in a flat, in a noisy environment. That's good. That's good. That's fun. That's always fun to hear something new for the first time. It's always fun to hear that. Pretty cool. Jason Pongratz sitting in the parking lot listening while his wife is doing some Christmas shopping. Are you sure that's a wise move? Maybe that's going to be like very expensive, leaving your wife alone. But then again, you can work it out, Jason, that if your wife spends too much, then you can buy that radio you want because she got nothing to say. Dana F, nice to have you on board from Providence, Rhode Island. Pretty cool. Theo, yes, I'm very, very happy with the new radio. It's an amazing radio. And both the RSP1A, I've been battling myself. I've been kind of having some internal battle of which one do I turn on or use, and I've actually been using both at the same time on different frequencies. Last night, you guys should have seen me. I bought my beer for today's show and tomorrow's show. And it was late. It was like midnight local. Usually midnight 1 to 1 a.m. is the time I go to bed. And I was in my office, and I turned on the 450, and I put the RSP1A on my laptop. And I said, "Hey, the hell with it." I took a beer out, and started drinking a beer and tuning around both on different signals, or sometimes the same signal, and comparing the reception. And finally, I ended up going to bed at like 2:30 a.m. after like 3 beers, and really enjoying a lot of interesting signals. I heard the BBC coming in really well. I mean, at 0500, the BBC on 6005 kilohertz, amazing signal to North America. That's broadcast from Ascension Islands to West Africa. 6005 was amazingly good. 5975 was okay, but not as good. I heard Radio Japan English language. 6155 from Austria wasn't too bad. Was surprised to hear 7410 also from, I believe, France transmitter site. And I heard many interesting signals. It was very a lot of fun. I don't do a lot of late night listening, and noticed that the 49 meters, 41 meter band were actually very good last night. I'm going to do that for a few times again, I think. Had a lot of fun doing it. So, Rock Ristorante says, not much activity on 40 meter band here in Europe. Richard Cook's hearing 7205 as well. Dana F, new to SDR, but got one working next is SDR Play for me. That's an amazing. RSP1A, if you want to have the basic one, it's amazing. If you or RSP2 Pro, even better. K6YYL. Let me just go down here. I just lost where I was. Okay, here I am. So, K6 Kimberly says, I will call CQ on 7255. So let's go to 7255 and see if anything comes out of there. 7255, whoops. 7255, lower sideband, if we hear anything. We'll leave it there. If anybody's calling up, we'll put the volume just enough to can hear something. Lower sideband. Electro Bidouillard, bonjour. Bienvenue Bertrand, VE2ZAZ. Nice to have you here, Bertrand, VE2ZAZ. Or ZAZ or ZAZ. Whatever you want to pronounce that, Z or Z. Man. Bob T, nice to have you on board from Northeast Ohio. Picked up 2-3 stations this past week with a target area of Africa or Asia on a Texan 680 late at night. A little difficult to make out, but pretty neat. Cool. Cool, Bob. That's always fun. Always fun. Dana F, what site do I use for the SDR? Well, this is a software, SDR Uno, so it's on my own SDR Play RSP1A. But if you want to have a good site to listen to software-defined receivers online, Kiwi SDRs, there's a very nice SDR.hu. It's very nice for that. Driver Films, Shortwave, this week has been mainly enjoying his XH Data D808. Cool. Cool. Seems to be a great radio. I need to find a way to get one. Dave Todd says, I like the K3 FEF Web SDR in Northeast Pennsylvania. I use a lot, depending on, my use. Somebody asked me the other day what SDR was the best when I went to SDR.hu, and I said, well, they're not all equal. They're not all amazing. There are some that are more, not as sensitive as others. Some are very sensitive and very good. Depends on which one. But I usually go with what I want to listen to. So if something that I want to listen to is broadcasting to Africa, I might have a tendency to use a European SDR, being closer to the target area, and see from there if I can hear any of these stations. Like if I want to listen to some station from Asia that I know I can't get here, well, I'll have a tendency to use a Japanese SDR or an SDR from somewhere in Asia or the Pacific area that's available to tune into these signals. So it depends really on what I want to listen to. Even here in North America, I'll choose, depending on what I want to hear, I'll choose an East Coast or a West Coast SDR. So sometimes I'll tune one in Vancouver for to see if I can hear some of the stuff that I know is not making it here on the East Coast, but might be listenable on the West Coast of North America, for example. So it really, for me, it really goes with what I want to hear. Mark Cope, have you imported the EIBS schedules SDR Uno? You can see the schedule for what you're tuning. Oh yeah, I've not on here, but I done it on my laptop. Last night, that's what I did. I imported the CSV file and was using that yesterday on the laptop. So it is actually very, very nice because you don't have to get any other schedules or anything. Bullfrogging United said, "There's so much noise here, I'm starting to feel like the Grinch." I get nuts. And this time of year, and with all the people and this time of the year, all the people in the stores, I just go crazy. I have difficulty spending more than 10 minutes in a store. Too many people. I don't like it. For sure. Madrio DXer says, talking about something new, I took my SDR outdoors to my DXing field and did some recordings of the bands. Best thing is I can analyze later what stations got, which I may have missed out. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I need to do a few with the SDR play. Vaults, you'll have to start investing in a proper band dipole at least, if you will want to transmit with reasonable, yep, absolutely. I'll have to check that out for sure to have a good transmitting antenna. That's for sure. I'm not going to use my sloper for that. Leon Hutchison says, love my old Sony 2010, but getting daddy and used prices are huge. Yeah. Bullfrog, too much RF5 for the moment. Part, if it's not Greenville, I struggle to catch it. Wow. Matt says, I like tuning into that BBC broadcast on 6005 because it does the bow bells interval just before sign-on. Not a lot of their remaining English broadcasts do as well. Yeah, they don't do it very, very much. Absolutely. What else do we have? Leon Hutchison, tempted to buy a Sangean 909X. Any thoughts? I've got the original 909 as the realistic DX 398. And I'll give you my opinion because it's the opinion I've got from reading a lot on the 909X. So the 909X is a modernized version of the 909. And while we're talking, let's fill up my beer with another beer. And let's do a little self-promotion. If you guys would like what I do and want to help me out, why not consider a little donation? It really helps me continue with what I do, pay for the equipment, and I'll put the links in the chat at the same time. PayPal.me/shortwave or shortwave or to the Yahoo email that you see here if you are on PayPal. You can also go on patreon.com and become one of my patrons, patreon.com/radio and computers, and set up a little something every month. Be careful the way you set it up. It's a little tricky, and make sure not to set it up wrong. Don't worry, if you have too much money, I'll refund whatever you give too much, but just try to be careful. That's why I kind of like the PayPal a little better. And as people were talking earlier for the fees, if you're giving an amount that has a lot of fees compared to the amount, just hold to the amount and wait for it to be just if you want to give me a little something every month, for example, you just add them up, and once every 6 months or once a year, you just do that little donation, and at least the fees are not going to kill the amount, because it is true that PayPal and Patreon do have a lot of fees. I mean, on Patreon, there's kind of a double fee, a fee for PayPal and a fee for Patreon, and it adds up. I look every month and it's like, well, it's kind of a big chunk that's removed still, but hold on and make sure that you give that donation from time to time. And thanks for everybody that I have donated, by the way. It's much appreciated. And I'm trying to reach out every time to those that never donated before. And thanks, everybody. So let's go back to our little. So Dana F, I just posted the information about the PayPal, and thanks for the donations. So the Sentient 909X, okay, and here's my honest opinion. It's not based on the actual use of the 909X. I've used the 909 original, but I've read a lot on it. I've had people that own one talk about it, and what I see in the 909X is that the 909X seems to suffer the exact same reception problem of the 909, which is the radio is slightly deaf. It's not as sensitive as other radios. That said, if you put an outdoor wire on it or an outdoor antenna on it, it actually becomes a great radio. It's just that with the telescopic, the 909X is not as sensitive as, say, a Texan PL660. It is a nice radio overall, but what I've seen is that, and that's what I've seemed to read off of many articles that I've seen, is that they updated the looks, they've updated a little bit of the firmware of the way that the menus work and all of that, but the radio itself seems to be somewhat pretty much the same, similar radio with the same slightly less sensitive receiver than a lot of other portables around it, especially for the price paid. I also put this in perspective of the price paid for that Sangean compared to another portable. But if you put that thing on my 909 is the same. It's a little deaf. On its telescopic, it's definitely not as sensitive as others. But I still love the radio because it doesn't overload on my. If I put it on my sloper, it doesn't overload anytime, and it actually becomes on the sloper an actually pretty good receiver, and you'll get pretty much everything you hear. But keep in mind that from what I've read, it's not as sensitive. There's a little bit of deafness in it. Richard should try 9665 or 11680 for Pyongyang. I can try it, but I don't think I'm going to hear Pyongyang on these frequencies at this time. I hear a very weak Brazil on 9665 because I hear it's off. And 11680, absolutely nothing at all. Propagation seems to be kind of bad today. So, yeah, sure. Share the link, Bullfrog89, no problem. Yeah, the 40-meter ham band overlaps the 41-meter international broadcast band. Absolutely, PLF radio. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's very, very nice to see all the SDRs, honestly. Mundo Virtual 3D says got a Radio Texan R9700DX. Cool. That little portable seems to be pretty amazing, honestly. Yeah, SDR.HU is amazing for that, absolutely. Yeah, I share the same frustration as Matt on the web SDR site. SDR.HU is mostly HF capable receivers, but the web SDR ones, a lot of them are very limited in range. I have the impression that a lot of the limits in the range, by the way, are due to local regulations, and they just don't want to get hit by some problems or whatever. A lot of them are AM band only also. SDR.HU is smart for that. They're all HF capable. It's really cool. Radio Romania on 6170. Let's check it out. 6170. Yep.
Coached by Ambrose Wagner, Spain, Romania is taking part in the championship for the 13th time. Years ago, it ran 5th.
It's even better here on 7310, Romania.
And that was the news.
Dear friends, Radio Romania International continues its traditional program of listeners on shortwave, the internet, and social media.
6170-7310.
We hope you'll find interesting. We would like to ask you which personality you think left their imprint on the world in a positive way in 20.
So pretty good. 6170 and 7310. Romania is pretty good. KC Red Dragon, nice to have you here. Pretty cool. Receiving the buzzer. Pretty cool. Sakura DX, can I put an SDR to iMac Windows via Boot Camp? How much capacity memory is needed for SDR? You know what? The problem with an SDR on the Mac is the software is very bad. If you do Boot Camp with Windows, you will have a better choice of software in running the SDR with your computer, and it's surprising you don't need that much of a powerful machine to run the basics of an SDR. Yeah, Kimberly, probably, because I mean on the West Coast you guys are still in daylight, so it's probably not the best time yet on 7255 for sure. Richard Cook's doesn't have the buzzer, or it's very weak. That's what I was saying as Max S. Strong is actually sharing. The N909X is interesting, but not very sensitive without an external antenna. But it's kind of self-defeating for a portable to need an external antenna. But you know what? Because the 909X is very beautiful and it's a very modern look. I've got the original 909 as a DX realistic DX398, and I find that radio beautiful, and actually a very nice radio that I'm happy to have. Honestly, is that digital or noise on 4702? 4702. Anything here? I don't hear anything on 4702 here. Nothing on 4702 over here. else do we have? Leif Alvorsen, nice to have you here from the Arctic Circle. Great show you make. Great to see so big interest in shortwave listening. Best luck, 73s. LA3 DNA, North Norwegian coast. Cool. This is so cool to have you on, man. Hope you come here regularly. M. Blair, KC5AJS, nice to have you here. Home with a flu bug. I got to take care. It's that time when you just take it easy and basically listen to the radio, watch a stream like this, and just rest. It's that time of year, unfortunately for that. What else do we have? Vault says U20 SDR is really state-of-the-art custom-built hardware and custom software with GPU acceleration. It's really an amazing piece of hardware software. It is truly the most amazing one. I can't see any other SDR that is so amazing as that one. And it's also so it's just so sensitive and in low noise. It's just truly amazing what they do on that one. Yeah, Global Tuners is another one, as PLF Radio says. I'm just looking at something here. Notice I don't have my phone with me. So, interesting. So yeah, the Global Tuners is a nice one also, but that one is more limited. It has more receivers on it. Actually, it's like more like big gun receivers than SDRs. So yeah, there's also that MadRadio DXer does. I've used it a few times on that case. As MadRadio DXer says, if you use SDR console, you can connect remotely to SDRs from other users around the world. So that is also a possibility. Dave Todd 7310 is burying the needle here. PA1WX, nice to have you here, my friend, from the Netherlands. And yes, a nice Yaesu transceiver, the TS450, that will eventually be used in 2019. I'm getting my ham ticket for sure. Vianney Arsenault, bienvenue, bonjour, de la Gaspésie, from the eastern part of the province of Quebec. Nice to have you on board. Is the buzzer coming over here? Over here, let's try it out. I haven't heard it since we heard it live, about 3 weeks ago, a month ago? Nope. No sign of the buzzer on 4625 at all. PLF Radio has Stronger Radio Romania on 7310. Yeah, we've been above 120 pretty much most of the show, except for the first maybe 30 minutes. We're reaching a nice audience, and usually get. Somebody was asking me how much views do I get on the live shows. So of course we're pretty much always in the 100 to 130 range. A good chunk of the show, and we do have. I have about 1,000 views in the next 48 hours of posting it online. It's not too bad, considering that it's a shortwave radio show. Yeah, the Degen DE1103 is a great radio to use on its internal whip antenna. It's great receiver if you just use it with the telescopic antenna. But I would not recommend much using the 1103 on an external antenna. It does overload quite easily, absolutely, for sure. XN80Xer, nice to have you on board, Keegan, in Northwest Arkansas. Always nice to have you on board. Jerry DX loves this Kiwi SDR. Nice to have you here, Jerry. Pretty cool. William Collins says, what do you think of the Degen 1103 on long wire? Like I just said, it's something that is not a very good thing. You know, okay, let's face it. Overloading on a receiver goes with the fact that you'll have very strong signals where you live. There's one thing you got to be careful. If you live in an area where signals tend to be very weak, it won't overload on a long wire because the signals are already weak. But if you have, or if you live in an area where some of the shortwave signals you're getting are very strong, it will definitely overload. I put my DGen once on my sloper in the backyard. Forget it. It was actually overloading. What I was seeing is an overloading of kind of all the medium wave stations from my local area here, kind of mishmashing a noise across the band. So that also is something that could happen. Your local medium wave stations might overload it. So that's something to know also. So it's not the best radio for long wire, honestly. Keegan says it's in the high 60s over there. Wow. What else do we have? What else do we have? PM1WX says maybe we can make a QSO on 14 megahertz in time if you have your ticket. Absolutely, we'll have to do that. K6YYL is calling CQ on 60 meters now, 5330.5. Let's see 60 meters here. I haven't tuned the 60 meter amateur band in a while. 5330.5. I don't think I'm going to hear her, but just to see who's on the bands. Anything else that I can check out here? Anybody talking? There's something there. What's that? That's radio teletype. There's some FT8 on 53, 57, 58. What do we have here? Radio Rebelde in Cuba. 5025. And Radio Havana, Cuba, kind of weak on 5040, but it's not very strong actually right now. Juan Amigo, nice to have you on board from Barcelona. Johnny DXer, nice to have you here. He says he just picked up a SDR Play Duo and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Cool. These are great devices, honestly. Really, really great devices. Just love it. 7205 is France that I heard earlier. Let's try it again. Yep, Radio France. There's some deep fading, but 7205 is Radio France coming in French. Pretty good. Can I just do one thing, guys? I'll be back in 2 seconds. I need to find, well, I'll use this. I think it's going to work. I'll use this. I believe I can have it working. Yeah, that's working. Okay. So cool. Okay. So that's what we're gonna be using here. I'll be okay with that for now. So anyways, we're here. Nope, no overload issues at all on my RSP if I compare it to other receivers. The only thing that I can say that I've noticed on the RSP1A is that if I go on the medium wave band to DX, so I've been doing this week, going on the medium wave band. So here I'm going to tune 880 New York. What I will be doing is, of course, lowering the sensitivity a little bit. So here, so this is 880 New York.
In the northern suburbs, north of 287, north of America.
There's been a little bit of wet snow.
So this, right now I'm hearing New York, 80 kilohertz. It works well, but you got to be very careful in setting the sensitivity. I've noticed that from time to time, what it does, we got a lot of strong medium wave stations here. From time to time, what it does is that it will drop off. So I'm listening to, for example, New York 880, and it's coming in really well. But if I pushed the sensitivity of the receiver a little too high, I'll be listening to it and suddenly, boop, everything on the band becomes dead. Why? Something happens that kind of overloaded the medium wave band, and the receiver is kind of in a weird state where it doesn't receive medium wave anymore. And to actually reactivate medium wave, I have to click, there's a passband filter. So on it, there's a medium wave FM filter that you can activate. That means if you have breakthrough of FM or medium wave stations on the shortwave bands or any other range, it's not going to happen because it filters it out. And it's amazing. It's great for that. So what I do is I'll click that to render the receiver insensitive to medium wave and re-click it again so it comes back sensitive again. And then stations all come back. But it only happens if I set the sensitivity just a little too high. I've noticed that, by setting sensitivity at a certain level, it never happens, and it's always okay. But you got to be careful. It seems to do that. On the FM band, I've had a lot of difficulty here on the FM band getting a station with the RDS decoding of the text really working well. It seems to have a hard time in my area with the very strong FM signals I get. So even though I put it at minimum sensitivity, it just seems to be still too sensitive on the FM band. And so it has a hard time decoding RDS because of that. And I've had some success with some stations, but obviously there are things, for example, if I try at 107.9, which is will come in really well on the ICOM, for example. Here I've not been able to get a 107.9. It seems that the overloading of the FM is way too much for the RSP1A. But I will have the same antenna on the ICOM, my ICOM 8500, and that one will cope okay with it. We'll have no problems with that. That is not an issue. So there are a few little things like that, but for the rest, on the shortwave bands, nothing that I've noticed. Sensitivity and everything seems to be okay. It's really when you tend to go into the medium wave or the FM band that things happen on the RSP1A. And here I've got some really strong medium wave and FM stations. So it doesn't help a lot of receivers most of the time. William Colden, what about a PL660 on 100 feet wire? I don't know about the 660, but I can tell you that my 680 and my 600 will both overload slightly on the long wire. And I've seen it when I went to my D expeditions in Perry Island. When I would put out a long wire, when signals tended to be very strong on the shortwave bands, I could see that there was some overloading happening on the receivers. These are very sensitive radios already with their telescopic antennas. And a lot of these portable receivers have a hard time with an external antenna when signals are very strong. Richard Cook says M12 due in 12 minutes on 6859. HM01 on 10715. So I'm going to check that. 6859. 6859, 6859. Let's put it in USB. See if I hear anything. Matambale, yes, 7285 is channel radio from Albania transmitter site. 7285. Elvaldo Lemes, nice to have you here from Brazil. PY4001 SWL is the shortwave call sign. Nice to have you on board. Mark Brando, WRMI Oldies Show 93.95, booming in with one of the strongest signals I've heard in months into southeast Wisconsin. Pretty cool. As good as local AMer. Wow. Pretty good. If you guys love Christmas music, 5085 WTWW. Been sending in those Christmas music songs on 5085 almost every evening this week. Pretty amazing. Matt's not hearing anything on 330.5. He said Red Dragon says 8992 is Air Force. So yeah, the emergency action messages on 4724, 8992, 11175, and 15016, and 13200, and so on. David in Barcelona, nice to have you on board. He's days away from having his ICOM IC7100 on my hands. It's already here in Spain, and it's on its way. Woohoo! Always nice to have that. Take care, Bullfrog 89, KD2, CXU. Always nice to have you here. Killer Radio says I can hear 7205 RFI with fading, but it's audible. It's rare I can hear it this time of year. I'm quite close to the transmitter, shortwave speaking. Yeah, it's not always easy. Depends on propagation for sure. Oh, David, you've received Tivdio V115. It's an interesting little device for that for the price. I mean, you know. So cool, Matt. Time to get his girl into the violin lessons. Should be able to check in through my phone a couple of points. No problem, Matt. Drive safely. Richard Cook's got it weak on the 8992. Jim S. Nice to have you here. Did you report that AM overload workaround on to the SDR Play support? No, I've not. I should. Absolutely, I should. There's you know, ways to play around with it. I had seen already, because when I was setting it up the first day, I was reading some posts, people using them, and I was aware of some people were talking about the FM problem they were seeing, and some people were also talking about the medium wave problem that I had. So maybe there's already some talk about it, but I should report it for sure. But you know, it's just setting the sensitivity just to the right space. Once you set it up correctly, it's not bad. It's actually quite good, actually. PLF Radio, does your Texan PL380 overload with long wire antennas too? Yeah. If I put the 380 on the on my sloper, I got a lot of overload there, absolutely. So let's check it out here. Long transmission apparently from the AM messages. Yep, still going on 4724 here.
Charlie, this is the message of 188 characters. This is Stingray out.
188 characters, Stingray. Not sure I'm going to hear that, but let's go to 14270 and see if we can hear Kimberly. Who knows? 14270, Kimberly. William Conlon says, using a Sony LP1 on DGen, not great reception. Love the show. Thanks, my friend. Dave Todd, have you used the VAC on the SDR Uno yet? Took a while to get that all working with FLDG and multi-PSK. Not yet. I haven't done that yet. Absolutely. Max says, Strong Shield, have you considered t-shirts portray of you holding a beer in front of radios with shortwave hangouts? Yeah, absolutely. I've had many little ideas of that. One with the DX the cat next to a radio and stuff like that. I'll be checking that out for sure. I'm a little slow on that side because I have so many things going on, but I will definitely have some merchandise at some point. Even like you know, a cup or you know, whatever, a glass of beer or whatever. Yeah, I use BB cable also usually, but I haven't tried anything with that yet. Sheldon Harvey says Alaskan ham on KL7KK reported on 7128 lower sideband, calling CQ, but nothing over here. 6859. Don't seem to be hearing anything on 6859 right now. Yeah, I use BB cable also because it's free. Yes, there's a show tomorrow, PLF Radio at 2000 hours Universal Time as usual. Tomorrow is going to be another shortwave show, so we'll be here for sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. So if you guys want to join in the fun tomorrow, I'll be here as usual. Casey Red Dragon says coming in on 9535. Station on 9535, which I think is Freeha Hagbar, if I'm not mistaken. I hear it also with some interference over it. And 9565 is the Cuban jamming that usually goes over Radio Marti. Yes, another show tomorrow, absolutely. Shortwave listening 60N says listening to BBC News at 10 o'clock on BBC Radio 4 on 198 kilohertz in Stockholm. Pretty cool. Yes, a double shot. Double shot. What else do we have? Cuban Lady should be on 10715. Let's check it out. 10715. Anything here? Barely making it here. I'm barely hearing a signal on 10715. Take care, Dave Todd, and feed your cats and dogs. Firefly, nice to have you here. John J8 SBS, nice to have you on board from the UK, my friend. Take care, Sean Fahey, nice to have you on board. Good night also. Always cool to have everybody here. That's for sure. Let me check something here. I have something popping up. Okay, that's okay. So we're still at above 120 watching the show, which is pretty good. We're watching the shortwave show. We're at we're just finishing hour number 2 now. And of course, this is a show about radio, shortwave radio in general. We're here every Fridays at 2000 hours UTC. And it's always fun to do these shows and have all of the people from around the world tuning in and joining us in the radio sphere. And of course, for those that have noticed, my thanks to Jack in 9IIF, my Yaesu FT450 transceiver that has arrived this week. Thanks to Simon Templar for a beautiful SDR Play RSP18 SDR that's on this screen. And thanks for people that have donated. I've seen my phone did a few buzzing sounds indicating that some of you have donated. So thanks for the donations, guys. Much appreciated. And it's always fun to be here. Hey, we're at 2 hours. Usually you have them a little longer. I'm a little tired. Unless somebody has something else to add, I might pull the plug now. We'll try to have it longer tomorrow for you guys. I'm kind of tired today. I've not slept well last night, and it's taking a toll on me right now. So anybody else have anything to add before we say goodbye for today? We'll be back tomorrow, 2000 hours UTC, for sure. Johnny DX says, no, I just got here. I'm sorry, man. I'm a little tired today. I woke up and it took me like forever to just feel like I was waking up. And basically, when I looked at the time, it was an hour before the live show. I was like, wow, it's an hour before the live show, and I still feel like I've woken up only, an hour ago. So sorry for the short show for today. We'll do some tomorrow on Mad Radio DXer. I'll tune the Yesu tomorrow. We'll have fun with that. And I'm gonna take it easy for tonight. I'm gonna take it a little. I think I need some rest. And tomorrow we'll have a normal show. So thanks everybody for being here. Sorry for making it a little shorter than usual. Always nice to have you on board, everybody. Don't forget, Spain is in English tonight, 2300 UTC, in an hour from now. And always nice to have all of you here. Take care, my friends. And yes, that's going to be fun to have QSO, absolutely, when I get my ham ticket. So see you tomorrow, Saturday, December 1st. Remember that, tomorrow's December 1st at 2000 hours UTC. And take care, my friends. I will take a little time off, do some radio listening, and take it easy for tonight. See you tomorrow, everybody. Love you all. Stay safe. Hope you enjoyed the show today. And bye-bye, my friends. Take care.